Bum, bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum.
Hello everyone, Puan Yani. We are from Suspended Timber Ground Floor Group and Timber Upper Floor Group. We collaborate together to build this model. For Suspended Timber Ground Floor, we have Carrie, Steven, Mazu, Saiful, and Singham. And for Timber Upper Floor Group, we have Hanif, Wehang, Marcus, Rusdi, and Prabhu. Okay, let's start with suspended timber ground floor because we built this together. So we have two models where everything we start everything in concurrent. Introduction to suspended timber ground floor. Suspended timber is a ground floor with a void underneath the structure. It is constructed in that manner to allow airflow and ventilation. The structure offers the benefit of comfort, but if it incorrectly constructed, it can lead to decay. On the left-hand side is an example of suspended timber ground floor built on top of sand blinding, and on the right-hand side is an example of suspended timber ground floor built on top of site concrete. There are 8 key elements when it comes to suspended timber ground floor. One is hardcore, number 2 is site concrete, number 3 is slipper wall, number 4 is damp-proof course, number 5 is wall plate, number 6 floor joists, number 7 floor finishes, and number 8 is skirting. In order to build the model, we added 4 additional elements, which are internal frame wall, DPM, BRC, reinforced steel mesh, and floorboard. The suspended timber ground floor model has been constructed by applying 12 steps. Hardcore refer to the mass of solid used to raise level. Its function to provide firm working surface, reduce moisture from rising from the ground, and to fill hollows. There are the variety of materials such as crushed rock, gravel, broken bricks, and coarse sand can be used to make hardcore layer. Typically, the thickness of hardcore is between 100 milliliter to 300 milliliter. On the working model, we are mixing sands and gravel on both models. DPM or damp-proof membrane is the material applied to prevent moisture transmission, typically in sheet foam or solution. Absence of DPM can easily cause damp patches, mold growth, especially from the ground wall, and potentially leads to electrical damages. If foam sheet must be at least 0.26 milliliter and can be laid below the concrete slab. If solution is preferred, then it needs to be at least 0.30 milliliter. On the working model, we are using red foam sheet and we are placing it above the hardcore. Site concrete is a material poured to create solid level of surface. The site concrete must be at least 100 milliliter in thickness, composed of cement, fine aggregate, coarse aggregate in the ratio of 1:6 to provide minimum strength. On the working model, we are using 2 density fiber boards and spray in grey color. VRC reinforced steel mesh must be embedded in before the mixture of concrete is being poured. After the steel mesh has been constructed and concrete has been poured, the tapping bar is used to compact and level the concrete. On the working model, we are using a cross-stitch plate in white color to provide enough visibility to the existence. We glue it on the outer side of the site concrete. Internal frame wall are usually added to divide the building into compartments or room. The function is to transmit floor or roof loads to a suitable foundation. Bricks is being used for partition if a high standard of fire resistance is required. For load-bearing walls in single and two-story house, the minimum thickness of the block work is 90 milliliter, where for 3 stories is 140 milliliters. This is to ensure the strength and stability of supporting the load. On the working model, we are using density fiberboard sprayed in grey color. We drew boxes to provide the impression of the bricks wall. And to ensure the stability of the model, we nail the internal wall to the side concrete. Slipper wall. The main purpose of slipper wall is to create ventilation and avoid condensation. For suspended timber ground floor, slipper wall in honeycomb design is necessary. The other function of slipper wall is to support the joist in such a way as in turns allowed the joist to support the weight of the floor itself and any lift loads such as people and furniture. The height of the slipper wall and the external vent cannot be lesser than 150 milliliter from the ground. However, there is no specific requirement as to the gap between the bricks for the honeycomb slipper wall. On the working model, we are using basswood strip. We painted the basswood strip in red, similar color to bricks. Then we cut the basswood strip into small pieces and we glued it back with spacing in order to achieve the honeycomb design. DPC is a barrier through the structure design to prevent moisture rising by capillary action or known as rising dam. DPC is usually built into walls typically 150 milliliter above the ground. There's a lot of materials available, but again the thickness is varies because it depends on what material is being used, but generally 50 milliliter is required. On the working model, we are using green foam sheet and we layer it on top of the honeycomb slipper wall. Wall plate. The main function of wall plate in suspended timber ground floor is to support the floor joist or where the floor joist will rest on. The wall plate should be bedded on the blockwork. Generally, the measurement for the wall plate is 100 milliliter times 75 milliliter in thickness and width. The length of the wall plate should not be less than 3 meter. On the working model, we are using basswood strip where it is bedded above the DPC. Floor joist. The main function for floor joist is to provide support to the floorboard and finishes. Floor joist is a structural member used in framing to span on an open space. For suspended timber ground floor, floor joist is rested on the wall plate. The end of the joist could be built on the wall or bedded on the wall plate. The size of the floor joist is determined by span between supports, total load, spacing, and quality of timber used. It is important to ensure the height level between the rested floor joist and the ground level is no less than 150 milliliter. On the working model, we are using 8 units of basswood strip. The floor joist is rested on the wall plate. Floorboard is also known as a subfloor layer. It is constructed prior to floor finishes. It provides cover to the floor joist. Traditionally, in suspended timber ground floor construction, a soft wood board is used. The thickness should be at least 20 milliliter and the material must be from the durable species or treated with a suitable preservative. On the working model, we are using plywood. To enhance the visibility of the floor joist, we cut the plywood into L shape. Floor finishes is the final construction of floor structure, which is permanently laid and covered on top of the floorboard. There is a wide range of flooring finishes such as laminate, vinyl, bamboo, cork carpet, terrazzo, ceramic tiles, parquet, mosaic, and marble. In areas such as kitchen, utility, and bathroom, where water may be spilled, any board used as flooring should be moisture resistant. On the working models, we are using a book wrapper and we glue it on top of the floorboard. Skirting. Skirting is a wooden strip covering the lowest part of the interior wall. The main purpose is to cover the joint between the wall surface and the floor. Skirting can also be used for purely decorative purposes, but it has more functional purposes such as protection for the wall from abrasion, accidental knocks from the furniture and wear and tears. On the working model, we are using angle-based wood strip. We glue the skirting to the internal wall. Those are the 12 steps that we executed in order to build the suspended timber ground floor. And this is our final product.
Okay, let's move to timber upper floor group. Okay, introduction to timber upper floor. The basic function of upper floor are relatively simple in that the floor must provide a level, smooth surface capable of supporting the required dead and imposed load. If constructed incorrectly, it will lead to a major problem of strength and stability since they are supported only at their ends on wall or beams. And beams, yeah. There are 5 key elements when it comes to timber upper floor. First is floor joists, then wall plate, number 3 is struts, number 4 is floorboard, and number 5 is skirting. In order to build the model, 10 additional elements has been added, which are hardcore, DPM, BRC, side concrete, internal frame wall, slipper wall, DPC, floor finishes, column and beam. There are 20 steps in order to build timber upper floor model, and we can see just now we already executed 12 steps together with suspended timber ground floor team, and we will resume by continuing another 8 steps in order to complete the whole entire model, and we will start with column. Again, column is a additional elements to the model. Columns are reinforced vertical concrete that stands on foundation and support building. They hold up floors, walls and roof, and when combined with reinforced concrete beams, they form a strong frame that enables the building to withstand some pretty destructive forces such as flood, strong wind, earthquake, etc. Typically, for single or two-story house construction, columns are sized in 200 milliliters by 200 milliliters square in shape. On working model, we are using basswood strip painted in pastel pink. In reality, we know that columns are built after foundation. Beam is also an additional element. Beam are horizontal structural element that resist loads applied lateral to their axis. Typically, transfer loads imposed along their length to their endpoints where the loads are transferred to the wall, columns, foundation, and eventually to the ground. On the working model, we are using balsa wood strip. We glue the beam and it rested on the column. Wall plate. There's a wall plate is key element to timber upper floor, and similar to suspended timber ground floor, the wall plate main function is to support the floor joists. And on the working models, we are using basswood strip and we glue it to the internal frame wall. Floor joists, or some may call it ceiling joists. I think it depends on how you look at it. It is similar to suspended timber ground floor in terms of the function, all those things. But for timber upper floor joists can be rested on the wall plate by using hangers, hanger nails into solid wall to support the floor joist, or the end of the joist could be built into the wall. The size of the floor joist is determined by spans between supports, total load, spacing, and quality of timber use. On the working model, we are using 8 units of basswood strip with the impression on the end floor joist is attached to the wall plate of internal wall, and the other end hang and nailed to the beam. Struts. Strut is one of the structural component which bracing between parallel rolls of joists helps them to stay in place and prevent them from twisting. Strutting or blocking between floor joists adds strength to the floor system. Strut can be for timber upper floor. there are two methods in installing the struts. It's either solid blocking or herringbones. Herringbone struts should be at least 38 times 38 milliliters. On the working model, we are using basswood strip to create the herringbone struts. The basswood strip was cut into small pieces and glued between the floor joists. Floorboard, again similar to suspended timber ground floor. For upper floor constructions, we are using plywood, and this time around we didn't cut the wood into L shape. For floor finishes, also similar to the ground floor constructions, and on our working model we are using book wrapper and glue it on top of the floorboard. Skirting, again similar to suspended timber ground floor skirting. The function is the same. Protection for the wall from abrasions. On the working model, we are using angle basswood strip, glue it to the skirting wall. After we have executed all the 20 steps, this is how the final product looks like. Just a big thank you notes to Singham from Suspended Timber Ground Floor team and Saiful from Timber Upper Floor team for making it happen. They saved the day because they put all the effort and energy in building the base for the model. Thank you so much.
We would like to thank to our lecturer, Puan Yani, our utmost appreciation for allowing us to do the assignment. This is the first group that we are truly enjoy. The synergy, collaboration and experience was precious. Once again, from 10 of us, thank you so much, Puan Yani.